Hmm. Good evening and welcome. It's March 18th. It's the evening of, and I'm your host, Bob Pace. And tonight we're going to talk about fighting CPS and stop taking our children. Now, I'm on here on this live stream twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 live streams every week. And I come on weekdays, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. in the morning for 1 hour. And then I come in on the weekends at 8 a.m. for 1 hour. Then Monday through Sunday, I'm on the evenings at 7 p.m. Those are my typical hours. And I warmly welcome you, every night of the week, twice a day. Now, I know that you may have a hard or a terrible time with CPS because CPS, there are entities that have gone bad. There are entities that have gone bad. And I know that you're trying to fight them. And it is hard. It is hard. But I want to give you a warm welcome to my live stream. And here we will try to address your questions and your comments and your concerns because I want to help you. This is an interactive live stream, meaning we can show emojis. Those are little characters like smiley faces and thumbs up and hearts. Also, you can send stars. And please check to follow me and write reviews. And also, if you want to know when I'm coming on, check the notification button. That way you'll never miss any of my live streams. Now, there's an important number staring at you in front of your face in red and white. 888-888-6582 is the law offices of Vincent W. Davis. It's where you can call in to retain Mr. Davis or one of the other areas of law if you're interested in divorce or criminal or real estate or the workplace or claims, accident claims, or anything else that you can come up with, immigration law and so forth. He has an attorney that will help you with all those areas. Now, when you do come in, make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. You'll tell the reception people that Bob Pace sent you. Also, when you speak to Mr. Davis, make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. Now, you can also find books. He has a lot of books and guides when you call in the office. And his latest one is the grandparent guide. It's called the How to Adopt Your Grandchildren or How to get guardianship of your grandchildren. It's a step-by-step guide. It's made for California, but it should work in all the other states. It's written by Mr. Davis because grandparents are a part of the family. So many CPS cases exclude family members, but family members are not only the mother and father of the child, but the sisters, the brothers, the grandparents on both sides. Then there are the aunts and the cousins and uncles. These are all family members. Kinship. These are family members. Now, I know some of you are really new and you don't know what to do or say or anything. I can understand that. I can feel for you. I, too, was caught up in CPS. They wrongfully accused me and my family. Me and my wife went through, 3 years of hell where they stole our children or trafficked our children into foster care, where they were placed in danger, where our children were hurt. And unfortunately, one of our child was convinced by the social worker to eliminate us as parents, which is a hard tragedy when you lose a child. There isn't a moment every day I think about our daughter, who was 12 years at the time when she was stolen. And then because we hired an attorney, who was Mr. Davis, who's a great CPS attorney, he caught her in committing perjury. She lied under oath in court. And it was really a bad scene, and she felt so embarrassed. And she told us parents, "You'll never see your daughter again." We did not know, but she told her daughter, "You can divorce your parents. You're 12 years old. If you don't like your parents, you want something nicer, you can divorce them." That's called emancipate. Not only did she divorce her parents, I remember when the judge said, "Are you sure? Because you no longer will have brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles or grandparents. When you emancipate from the family that brought you up for 12 years, you no longer are part of them," which is pretty sad to say that. I know at 12 it's really hard. See, that's another thing. When you have a social worker, and people think highly of social workers, I don't. And this particular social worker didn't even have a high school education and was in her young 20s and knew nothing about family reunification or how to deal with situations. It was strictly money. She was money hungry because she knew she'd get a bonus and incentive from the CPS agency in Orange County, California. So she divorced us, and then she changed her name. She was told to change her name completely. She had a beautiful name. It's something we as parents thought about long and hard. And her real name was Honolulu, a beautiful place. She also was told to seal her birth certificate, that we didn't exist giving birth to that child. So she sealed her birth certificate and got a new birth certificate and put her foster parents as the parents of her. They weren't there for her first 12 years of life. It was sad how corrupt CPS is. She also got a new birth certificate, and she got a second Social Security card and was double dipping out of my Social Security retirement. She was illegally taking two payments with two different Social Security cards. That's wrong. I can guarantee if Social Security found out that Social Service was robbing them, I think they would be definitely corrected. But I just hope that when Social Services investigated, they investigate the child protection system within Social Services. That's what it's all about, social services. There is a mandate by Congress to have our children protected from abuse and neglect. And the directive went to social service, and they created a child protection system. Every county, every state, and every country has an entity that deals with the protection of children from neglect and abuse. But what has happened is they've gone too overboard. They've now found the comfort of money is much more important than family reunification or helping the parents with their child getting back. It's a hard thing to swallow when they are so lying and so evil. They're not transparent. They rob, they retaliate, and they definitely abuse our children. Foster care is not a safe place for our children. They were abused there. There's many incidents I could talk about, but I'm not here to talk about my case. I just talked about how I lost my daughter through no fault of her own. She's 22 now, and we have not seen her. I know her brothers still try to see her because I encourage that. And what we hear from our brothers in the pictures are nice. But our older children have distanced themselves from us too. I had 3 older ones and 3 younger ones. And the older ones have distanced themselves, which is really sad because families are very important. Families care and love one another. They're supposed to. But it is hard with families. Arguments may arise, and then the parents argue in front of the children, which is a no-no. You don't argue in front of the children. That's verbal abuse, and that's wrong. So I've touched a little bit about my story. In 2010, I did not know it, that one of the reporters was my in-laws. My wife's mother, father, 3 sisters, and a brother were calling in once a week for 5 years that we weren't taking care of our children. They'd concoct something else. They would say, you're not paying the bills, you're not taking them to school, you're not bathing them, etc., etc. And we knew that was not true because we chauffeured our 3 children to school. We are involved in all the parent conferences and the back to school nights and the recitals and the plays and so forth our children did at school. We were always very much involved. Mother and dad. Mom and dad. We did that with our 3 children. We did that with all our children, or 6 children. But it is a hard thing to swallow when you lose a child through no fault of your own. And then you have a vindictive social worker that you can't do anything about. It's really, really hard. It's not easy. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving father and a husband. As I said, I've helped raise 6 children, 3 older and 3 younger. And it's my 3 younger ones that were kidnapped, trafficked into foster care. I know those are brutal terms, but that's what happened. They also were alienated from mom and dad because they didn't tell our children what we were doing. And when we talked with them, we couldn't discuss anything about the case. They are trying to blindside you and drag the case on so they get many, many years of a lot of money. They were getting $20,000 per child per month. That's $60,000 for 3 children every month for 3 years. That's a lot of money. But I tell you, it isn't an easy thing to fight CPS. I've developed 5 rules, and I'll talk to you about them shortly. Now, Margaret is one of my regular people. Today, she had her criminal charges dropped off her thanks to Mr. Davis. She has a case up in She has a case up in Fresno, California. I think it's the Kern County, but she said some other county, so I'm not too sure. But she'll be in. And she mentioned that some of the things we do in here, maybe I could talk about a couple topics. And tonight I'd like to talk about how to get rid of your attorney or fire him. And also about whether children can talk to social workers. That's that one that Margaret suggested, was that one about talking to social workers. Those are 2 things I like to talk about. But before I do, I need to tell you what else you can do in this room. You can also text a comment or a question. Now, all I ask you is that when you text me a question or a comment about CPS, could you please show me your first name and the city or county and your state? And if you're from another country, your provinces and your state and your country too, show that. Also, please tell me about your CPS case so I can help you. It's a hard thing to fight CPS. There's no question about that. But I'd love for you to text me a message so we can work on it. Yay! We got somebody in the room. Looks like we got two people in the room. My baby. All right, welcome, my baby. We should make it. I think what my baby is saying, if I could read it up there, I have to blow it up there because my problem is that my computer is not functioning. We should make it illegally to take your kids. I agree. I agree they should be illegal. But if a child is in neglect or abuse, there needs to be some action taken. Okay, I assume that my baby is from Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, because it says that it started there. Now, it's important we don't use names on my live stream, okay? She said somebody from the Detroit, Michigan area, a CPS investigator, lied to take the baby. They bought the baby to visitation damage. Now, is that your baby? My baby? Is that your baby? My baby? Um, okay, she has a channel and there's a video when they came and took her baby. How terrible is that? I think this is the link to the video. I'll look at that later. Okay, the baby was given away because someone was abused, all right? Now, you're from Michigan, not from Phoenix. What is the connection with Phoenix with your case? What is the connection? And she has three babies, or I don't know how old her children are. She has three children, and she's from Detroit, Michigan. Okay, that's good. Once they take one, people told me they keep taking, and that's what's been happening. You're so right. What's happening. And once they take, they do. That's true. Yeah, I took my first child um, to see his father in Phoenix. Okay, I'm starting to understand how the Phoenix is coming into play. Now, my baby says they lied in a warrant in Phoenix to take my son. They probably used a fake warrant, which is sad. After I went to the shelter to leave a domestic issue, I guess the father child was being bad towards you, and you had to file a restraining order. I guess is what happened. I'm only guessing, my baby. I'm only guessing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to my phone number because maybe my baby would like to call in. So I'm going to put my phone number up. Right now I'm live. You could call me at 626-698-0990. I use the Vonage phone application on the internet to communicate. You don't have to have phonage, but it's an internet-based phone line. And all you do is call me 626-698-0990. And I love to talk to you, my baby, because maybe you can, since you're doing a lot of writing, you can talk about it quicker. But it was lie. Once I got to the shelter, someone called saying my son was screaming because I was beating him, which was not true. So this was a false comment statement. He was screaming around the shelter I came. Back to the room, he was still screaming. My baby says the father told me not to go because they take babies often in Phoenix. That's sad. I don't know. So, was the domestic violence with your husband or another man? I don't know how that fit in there. And was your husband trying to help out? Yeah, I know about the warrant, that it was a lie there. Okay. Oh, what number? Let me put it there's the number. It's on the screen 626-698-0990. And my baby, you could call in and it'd be a little bit easier. It'd be a little bit easier. The father of your son, was that who was the domestic violence on? My phone is standing by if you're trying to call me right now at 626-698-0990. And it may be a little bit easier for you to talk instead of typing. Also, if you're on my show and you call in or you're a guest on my live stream, you're eligible for a free 15-minute session with Mr. Davis. He's my attorney. He's the one that you should retain because he can fight. I retained him and he is a fighter. There's no question about that. So my number's there, my baby, if you want to call. I'd be really glad to hear from you. And again, if you're a guest on my live stream or you call in, you get a free 15-minute private one-on-one consultation via Zoom with Mr. Davis. Good evening and welcome to my live stream. I'm Bob Pace, and how can I help you?
Hello?
Yeah, hello. You may have to turn the background noise down a little bit. Okay. Am I speaking to my baby from Detroit, Michigan?
Yes, this is her.
I'm so glad you called in. I thought instead of playing ping pong ball back and forth with the texting, you could call in and be a lot simpler.
Okay.
So you were telling me that you had a child that was taken from you when you were in Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah, yes.
Why?
I took my son.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, why what?
Well, why was he taken from Phoenix? If you live in Detroit, why was he even taken in Phoenix?
Well, his father lives in Phoenix, so I took him to see his dad, and there was some domestic violence. And one day, the lady saw the dad push our son, and so she was a mandated reporter. She wanted to report it. We went to a show. We were about to go to a shelter. We went there, but the dad told me, he called me like, hey, come back to the house because when you go to the shelter, they're going to line a warrant and take our son. But I went to the shelter and we were not even there a day. I think we slept there overnight. It was the first day and my son was screaming around the shelter. You know how sometimes kids scream whether they have like an emotional mental problem or sometimes they just scream.
Right.
He was screaming around the whole tour of the shelter. So then we went back to the room. 15 minutes he was still screaming and stuff, but the CPS people came to investigate the domestic violence, right? They left. They came back in 30 minutes. 30 minutes after they had left, they left me with my son at the shelter. They came 30 minutes later saying, someone called saying you were beating your son the way he was screaming and crying. We have a warrant to take your baby. I said, that's a lie. One, I wasn't hitting him the way he's screaming and crying. And it was just weird. Like, they came back after 30 minutes and said they had a warrant out because someone called named Doris.
Did you see the warrant? Did you see the warrant?
She had it in her hand.
But did you read it? Did you look at it?
No.
Okay, here's the problem with warrants. They use warrants from other cases. They copy and plagiarize. That warrant may have the wrong dates on it. That warrant's got to be signed by a judge. It's got to be a wet signature. And what the clerk does, the court clerk, she'll use an emboss stamp and emboss the signature, meaning to raise the letter from the paper so no one can forge the signature. There should be a current date. It should be a date that's not a holiday. If it's a weekday and it's a holiday, then that's a bogus warrant. If it's the weekend dates, that is a bogus warrant because you can't get warrants on weekdays or holidays during the week.
I can't. Is that for Phoenix or is that for like anywhere?
That's for anywhere. You got to read the warrant. The warrant's got to say specifically who it's addressed to. It should be addressed to both the father and the mother. And they should say they're taking the baby because of neglect or abuse or both.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, they lied in the warrant. I wasn't beating him to where he was screaming and crying. He was screaming around the tour of the shelter. I took him back to the room. He was still crying 15 minutes, how kids do, just screaming for no reason. He even did that before when he was sitting in the apartment. I came in the living room, he was screaming. I thought the dad was doing something to him. I walk in, he's just sitting on the couch screaming, and the dad was cleaning.
Oh,
So
okay.
sometimes kids scream, but so it was like it was wrong that they took him like that. So then I continued with the CPS case, and they started lying. Like it was, for example, the CPS case A, the one who had visitation, she said she canceled because she had training, and then she canceled 2 times she had training. The case manager told me I wasn't trying to see my son because the case aide had canceled. I said, I'm trying to see. So she blamed the case aide canceling visitation because she had training on me, saying I wasn't trying to see my son. That's when I freaked out and said, you guys are, they're bullshitting me, and I have my son sent to my adopted mom in Michigan. Now, I have this horrible case. I'm going to tell you this. I had gotten pregnant while I was in Phoenix trying to get my son with a baby girl. Now, I had moved back to, my car was plated from Denver because I lived in Denver. So I got pregnant with a baby girl, and I sent my son back to my adopted mom in Michigan, and I drove back to where my car was plated in Denver because at the time I was living in Denver, though I'm originally from Michigan.
Now, okay, this father of the girl, was this the father of the boy, or was it a different father?
They all have different fathers. I have 3 kids. They all have different fathers.
Okay, were you ever married to the 3 fathers?
No, I've never been married.
So how did you resolve who has custody of the 3 children?
Well, I actually had the baby by myself. The dad had a little temper, so I was scared. I didn't know them super well. I just did, what I'm supposed to do as a mom. I go somewhere where I can be safe to have my baby. So it wasn't a lot of relation with the second nor the third dad. But the first one, I think we actually liked each other. We knew each other for some months.
Well, it's important that the child has both a mother and a father. If the father can't owe up to raising the child, he should at least help to contribute some finances to help with the upbringing of the 3 children.
Well, I don't want to go after child support because I don't know the last 2 dads like that. And so when I was pregnant with the second one, the dad was like, "Oh, it's the Mexican dude's baby," and I said, "Well, if he wants to throw it on the Mexican dude," and then he had a temper, so I was afraid. So I'm just a single female. I just moved on. But the third one, I saw him the other day. And I said, "Hey, we have a baby together, right?" He said, "Oh, it's not my baby. It's not my baby." So if they're denying it or if they throw it to another man when I tell them I'm pregnant, I'm not pursuing them. I'm not pressing anyone for child support. I do know they're my children, though.
Well, what does the birth certificate say on all 3 of your children?
My name's on there.
Are any of the fathers on there? Are any of the fathers on there?
No, my adopted mom told me not to put his name on the first baby.
Well, I'm just trying to say CPS is going to try to get him involved, is what I'm saying. That's why I was asking. So none of the fathers are on the birth certificates.
I think it's good for them not to be involved because I don't want no domestic violence. And then I just told you I saw the third one. He said, "Oh, it ain't my baby. It ain't my baby." So if he's denying it, why am I? I'm not going to overdo.
No, it's right. It's right. I'm sorry because the child will grow up and not understand. But I know you sound like a good mother, and you will teach her, and help her grow up really well. But now, you came to take your oldest son to see his father. You're in Phoenix, and then you went to Denver and had a second child, which was a girl.
Yep, and I was at UC Health Hospital in Aurora, Colorado. Now, they lied about my well-being at the hospital to take this baby. It was the second day, I rested. You rest after you have your baby 2 days. And they came in and said that they wanted to hold me for a mental evaluation. I was in shock, like, why? They said, they wrote on the paper it was schizophrenia to ask if someone next door. And that was a valid question because there was a Hispanic couple next door that just had a baby. They wrote that I fed my baby a little almond milk and I put my hand on my baby's face. I'm like, I never put my hand on my baby's face. So they wrote some atrocious stuff. Then they put my baby up for adoption in the hospital. Then I downloaded the hospital paper from UC Health Hospital in Aurora, Colorado, and they said that the hallmark was hallucination. And I was like, I've never had hallucination in my life. I had a clean bill of report, clean drug test. I never had a drug addiction in Denver. They legalized weed and I didn't even smoke weed every day nor every month. I danced at a strip club, didn't even have no drug addiction. I had a job. I had a pediatrician appointment scheduled the next day. So literally, they held me for a misevaluation from these false statements. It was 2 days over the weekend. They couldn't hold my baby at the hospital, so then they opened up a CPS case. Well, why? I had a clean umbilical cord, a clean drug test, and this is what the requirement was. Oh, you have to do UAs, which is taking urine test, and I need another mental evaluation. I said that's a small thing because I had a clean umbilical cord, a clean drug test. And if you know me in Denver, people know I don't fucking smoke all day, every month. And then to have another mental evaluation isn't false because they already lied to hold me for one against my fucking will. I told them I will voluntarily do when I want to situate my baby. My family is in Michigan, from Michigan. I had a pediatrician appointment scheduled the next day, and this white lady told me, Kay, they lied to hold you hostage at the hospital and kidnap your baby. And that's what happened. I complied with the CPS case just to get my baby, though the CPS case should not have been open because they lied about my well-being to hold me for the 2-day mental evaluation. And the doctor said, you seem like you're fine. You shouldn't even be here. Exactly. I complied with the case, right?
Yes.
And then I completed some stuff, and some stuff I didn't complete. But then they wanted to terminate my rights to my daughter. They took her at 2 days old, so I had to clean drug test.
Now, where did
and then they lied in the paperwork.
Where did you
download the paperwork?
Where did you have the third child? Where was the third child born?
Well, I came back to Michigan, and I found this baby in my stomach the second month. It was too late to abort her, so I think it was a blessing from God, because I said, if it's a blessing from God, it's going to be a girl. It was a girl from the same type of race of the first baby girl. And then I had her in Michigan. And it turned out well. I actually didn't have marijuana in my system, but I had her in Dearborn at Beaumont in Dearborn, and it was a great birth. They treated me with respect. You know, they took pictures of me and the baby. I had the baby 2 months after, she was born. But the problem is, someone said they saw me feed my baby yogurt, right? So I was staying at this 2-year transitional program. And then someone at the shelter said they saw me feed my baby yogurt. The police came and they said, with the terminations of your other 2 children and the comments, there was a petition to take your baby. They came and took my newborn, though I was breastfeeding. The CPS investigator said I was not breastfeeding. There's videos of me on YouTube breastfeeding. He said I was investigating you and you've been neglecting your baby. I said, you were investigating me. You would have known I was breastfeeding 5 times a day. I was neglecting my baby. And then in court on January the 31st, the judge was like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Because the judge found him lying in one of the statements he made, right? The CPS investigator. And then I'm like, somewhere it passed home inspection and stuff, and it's like they haven't even returned my newborn baby. And mind you, they took my baby girl. She had hair on the back of her head. They brought her back. She don't have no hair on the back of her head. There's a bald spot of friction. And so I've been upset, and my emotions have been.
How did that happen?
And they took my
How
baby.
How did you get the bald spot?
They said she was laying on her back, and I said, well, that's abusively laying on her back because when she was laying on her back with me, she had hair on the back of her head. Now the foster parent has her, and she's laying on the back of her head. All of a sudden, it's a big ass bald spot. No, it looks like a bald spot of friction, and someone's rubbing her head, and it's just weird to me. So they took my baby, and then she's been overfed. She's been spitting up mucus at the visitation. We went to the doctor about the bald spot, and the doctor said they're not taking care of her, how they should be, because she don't have no lotion. She has the bald spot. And I'm using the right material on her skin. She's been overfed, and it's just like, so they found that the foster parent not taking good care of her, they can return her, and the CPS investigator lied, but they still have my baby. That's messed up.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, now you have one child that was taken in Phoenix, and then you had your next child in Denver. Where was the third child born?
Phoenix. The third child was born in my home state in Michigan.
Okay, so you took a child that was already born from Michigan to Arizona to visit the father. Then the CPS took that child, and then you went to Denver and had another child?
Yeah, because I just happened to get pregnant.
Okay.
In the middle of the CPS case.
Okay, and then after that, then you went back to your home state and had a third child.
Yeah, but I didn't. I found her in my stomach the second month, and I think it was just to heal the pain of how they took my first baby girl, because it was actually a second baby girl, and it was too late. She was in there healthy 2 months. It turned out to be a baby girl. I didn't sleep. But they came and took her after like 2 months because they made a petition to take her and say, well, with the first 3 terminations, and someone said they saw you feed your baby yogurt, they came to take my baby.
Well, why did they give a reason to take your third baby from you?
They finally had no reason to terminate my rights, but they said that someone at the shelter called, said they saw me feed my baby yogurt, and with the prior terminations with Denver and my son, and take his baby. And I said, that's not fair, because what happened in Denver was racist. They lied. I have not had time to sort that through. I don't have money for a lawyer. I've had time to sort that through. I feel like the case should not have been open. If I had a kid before, I never had a drug addiction, and I never had a mental problem ever in my life. Well, the CPS case, I should not have requirements to follow. It's just like it was just open to take and steal my baby.
Okay. So where's your?
I think it should be illegal to take our kids because
right. Well,
you know how long it takes for us to go through this paperwork and find a good lawyer.
It takes a long time. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of money. Where
you don't have that.
Where are the cases now? Now you have 3 cases. Why was the child taken in Michigan? Why was the child taken in Michigan?
Well, they said that some lady at the shelter said she saw me feed my baby yogurt, and with the terminations in Denver, that they came to take the baby.
Well, I know that there's a law, or not a law, but some type of rule that says if you're being investigated by CPS, you can't have any more children. Was that something they sprung on you?
Because sometimes that actually happens.
Did they spring that on you?
No, they never said that.
Okay. So now you have 3 cases: Phoenix, Michigan, and Denver.
Yeah, and I think that they shouldn't have the case in Phoenix because if my son is from Michigan, I'm from Michigan.
But the event,
in the state where
the child was exhibiting, or where the problem was in Phoenix, not in Michigan.
Right, and it was, it was from a false statement too. They didn't even take him when they investigated the domestic violence. They took him from the false statement of the girl who called from next door.
Okay. So now, tell me, where is the child staying right now that's in Phoenix? Where's that child staying?
They're here back in Michigan with my adoptive mom. The one in Denver is still there, my baby girl, and it's sad, and that's why I think it should be illegal to separate biological mother and her children, because they took her from me at 2 days, and I had a clean before. I had a clean drug test. I was healthy in Denver, I had a job during the pregnancy. I had food assistance, cash assistance. They just took her. Then I complied with the case. Some things weren't even complete, but it's like this case should not have been open. Then they want to terminate my rights after they lied at the hospital and take her in the paperwork. These real hallucinations on the paper.
Well, they're interested in money. The Denver group, the Phoenix group, and the Michigan are all rogue CPS systems. They're interested in the money. They're getting $20,000 per child per month. You have 3 children. That's $60,000 a month that the CPS is getting. That's why they want your children. And that's going to happen until they're 18.
Well, it shouldn't happen until they're 18 because I have the right to have my kids. It's not about money in any way.
Well, no. You have to fight them because, okay, what charges were labeled against you in Phoenix? What were your charges there? Neglect or abuse?
I don't know. Oh, I guess they said that I couldn't take care of my baby.
That'd be neglect. That would be neglect. Now, what about Denver? What were they saying there?
They just said that, I don't know. They just said real stuff about me that wasn't true. Like I had mental problems, or I guess I'm not. That's what they said. I wasn't compliant. They said I wasn't compliant with the case. They held me for a mental evaluation. This is stupid. I need to protest because I'm against all this.
Well, the problem is if you're pro se or you're trying to fight them, you'll never win. They're, it's when I compare fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You're not going to have a plumber open up your chest cavity. You're not going to have a secretary open up your chest cavity. You're not going to have an auto mechanic.
We need to protest.
Well, protests, you know, there's a place and time for protest. Protests are trying to get people to changes. It will not change the laws. The laws are made at the federal government level. They're made by Congress.
Well, you see how gay people have their laws. They let gay people have their law, and they're not even natural. This is a natural thing, like a mother and a father having their kids. We have the right to have our kids first before the system, and they line this paperwork, and they run us through, and that's not what you do when you really care. They force neglect between a parent and a child. Now I can only see my newborn 2 days out of the week because someone lied and said this, or because they're bringing up from a case before. It's like, just because it took one child don't mean to take the next and the next. And they were wrong when they took the first one.
Okay. I have two people that have come into the room since you've been talking. I need to recognize them. I want to welcome Josephine Piscoli. Welcome. And hello, Josephine. I forgot where you're from, Josephine, if you can tell me. And Margaret, good evening. She has a case in Fresno today. They dropped the criminal charges against her. So now she has a CPS case. She's trying to fight it. She's got family members interfering with her getting guardianship of her grandchild. She's a grandmother, and grandparents have rights. And so she's trying to get her child, she's trying to adopt that child. So she has a rough thing. Now, Margaret said she wanted to talk about a topic tonight about how can children be interviewed by CPS, is what the question was.
I got a question. Like, what rights do grandparents have? Because, sometimes family members are against each other, but, what type of rights do grandparents have in a child's life?
They have a big, important life. Because why? They're from another generation, and they can introduce things that be beneficial to the child. There's nothing nice to see a grandparents with their child going to the ice cream. They can give warmth and advice, and they can also, it helps out the grandparents. The grandparents are part of the family. Your mother and father, raised you. And your brothers, if you have brothers or sisters, they're part of it. As you grow up and you start to have children yourself, those children you have should have involvement with your other family members. So grandparents, care about children too. And a lot of times the daughter can't take care of the children, so the grandparents step in. And I'm not saying that's your problem. I'm just saying that's...
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because my adopted mom is she's my mom. She raised me. So it's like, if she has a narcissistic, we had a visitation, and she said I had attacked her with my hands and feet and stuff, and I fled the scene, and I didn't. I stayed and left the report with the guy for 49 minutes after the incident, and I'm on the bus, so I had to go and call the police and say she filed a false report against me, and it ended visitation with my son. So it's like, I don't know, kind of difficult. But she has my son, so that's good. But
the problem is you're trying to fight CPS like you're trying to do open heart surgery. You don't know how to fight CPS, just like you don't know how to do open heart surgery. You would not know how to open the chest cavity, take the heart out, and work on it. The same thing is hold true for CPS. You need an expert. You need that attorney, and that is the hardest things that people are facing. Because without an attorney who knows the law, who knows the system, you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to keep spinning your wheel.
Lawyers that can help?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, do you know lawyers that can help? Because I don't really have the income for the lawyer, and I call one.
That is the problem. That is the problem. Now
they're taking advantage of me because
we
I don't
do
have
have
the
at the
income.
law firm, we have all kinds of packages. And at the law firm, these packages can help you out with um, with certain kinds of consultations that may be only a half an hour, or there's a 4 hour program. All you need to do is to go to this website. It's called, I'll put it up on the screen, it's the bottom of my screen. It's called the Stan, STAN .store, STORE /attorney VWD. Now that website you need to add to HTTP ://. But you go there and they'll have a whole list of classes that you can take. Consultations. Maybe you want only an hour or a half hour. Now, by tonight, you afforded your chance to talk to Mr. Davis for 15 minutes for free. By you calling in, you're eligible if you want to talk to a real attorney for 15 minutes for free. You make yourself a list of questions and you prioritize them and you ask him. And he'll talk to you on a private Zoom conference with just you and him. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to take that part and have Mr. Davis talk to you, you got to do three things. You see my phone number up there? You text to that number and you put down there your full name, your email, and your phone number. Those three things you text to me, and then I will get a hold of my show producer, Grace, who arranged a one-on-one private Zoom conference with Mr. Davis for 15 minutes. So that's a reward by talking on my live stream.
Right.
So that's beneficial to you because, like I say, if you're going to fight CPS, you need a real attorney. And Mr. Davis, just to tell you what kind of guy he is, today he very easily handled a criminal case against Margaret King, and he got them to drop the charges. He's now working on a false CPS report, and she hired him, and he's doing a really good job. Now, he's been doing this for 39 years. He's been fighting CPS. He is trained and educated in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. Those are the three laws you need to have someone qualified for. Also, he has gotten back thousands of children, and so he is the real thing. Now, there's another thing that he is that if you have a lawsuit, once your case is closed, he can sue CPS and win millions of dollars. He's done that. He's done civil lawsuits.
You said text your number?
You're gonna text it to me. I'm arranging so you have 15 days. 15 hours, 15 minutes. 15 minutes there. Saying the wrong thing. Now, if you want to talk to him longer, let's say 30 minutes, then I'm going to put it up there. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. You go to that website at the bottom of my screen and you go to https candidly.com /apptsvwd /Bob Pace. And he'll talk to you for 30 minutes on a private Zoom for $60.
Okay, so I texted you my name. What else?
Your email and your phone number.
Okay.
But and then the phone number, the email, then the phone number. But if you want to talk longer, he can talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. But right now, you're going to get 15 minutes for free. So try him out. See if he's somebody you like to work with or ask questions. You may come back later and do the 60-minute session. Excuse me, the 30-minute session for $60.
Okay.
Now,
I just hear my name, email, number,
and phone number.
How do I get the 15?
Well, I'm going to contact my show producer Grace, and she's going to set it up. It'd be about a week.
Okay.
Now, Margaret, I know we didn't talk about can social workers talk to children? Yes, they can. They can. But we can talk about that tomorrow morning for another topic. Okay. In fact, it's now getting close to 8 o'clock, and my podcast is over at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to have to close down for the night. I know that isn't fun, but hopefully, my baby, I was able to help you, because I really, I feel for you with your cases there. But I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. So, I'm around. So I will not abandon you. I'm here all 7 days. I'm in the morning at 10 o'clock on the weekdays and 8 o'clock on the weekends. And it's evening, it's all 7 o'clock. Now, I do make changes, and I may make a change for tomorrow night. I may be on early at 4 o'clock. Early at 4 o'clock tomorrow. I may be early at 4 o'clock. But I want to thank you, my baby, for talking. Don't give up. Margaret, thank you for coming back. Josephine, again, thank you. Thank you to all my people for the emojis and being in my room. This is Bob Pace saying, keep fighting for your kids. God bless you. And I'm signing off.